The first time I saw her, it felt like the universe had stopped. The Galactic Hall was filled with luminescent holograms, projecting candidates from every planet in the Orion sector. I had been told to choose any woman, the High Council said, but there was something almost impossible about the options arrayed before me. Each one was a marvel of engineered perfection, genetically optimized, mentally augmented, with skills and knowledge spanning the galaxy. They were, in essence, everything one could dream of. But then she appeared. She wasn't projected like the others. She walked in. The floor beneath her boots didn't make a sound. The hall's artificial light seemed to bend around her, accentuating features that could have belonged to a dream. Her hair shifted color subtly, like sunlight caught in quicksilver. Her eyes were impossible to describe, deep violet, flecked with starlight, as if she carried entire constellations in them. She said, "Choose any woman," a voice whispered beside me. I ignored it, transfixed. The rules were simple. I had been chosen to participate in the Ascendant Selection, a centuries-old rite where a representative of the human colonies would select a companion from among the galaxy's finest minds and warriors. Once chosen, the bond was permanent. The Council called it the Union of Choice, a joining not just of hearts, but of purpose, of destiny. I walked down the aisle between the holograms, each woman nodding politely, each one expecting my attention. I studied them carefully. One had eyes like burning emeralds and a mind that could process a starship's navigation in seconds. Another's body was perfectly adapted to zero-gravity combat, and yet another radiated an aura of empathy that could calm entire war-torn planets. They were magnificent, and yet none of them pulled at my core the way she did. When I reached her, she tilted her head slightly, a playful smile touching her lips. It was a smile that seemed to recognize something in me, a spark, a secret that even I hadn't admitted to myself. "I choose her," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. The council chamber erupted in murmurs. Some were shocked, others curious. Choosing her over the genetically perfected and carefully vetted candidates was a gamble no one expected. "Explain your choice," the council demanded. "I don't know how," I admitted. "I just know she's the one." The woman, her name, I later learned, was Elara, stepped forward. She held out her hand, but it wasn't just an invitation. There was a silent question in her gaze. "Will you follow me? Not just now, but into the unknown?" I took it. The first days of our union were disorienting. The Ascendant Selection didn't just unite people emotionally, it merged our neural pathways. I could feel her thoughts as vividly as my own, and she could feel mine. At first, it was overwhelming, like standing in the center of a supernova. But soon, we found rhythm. Elara was unlike anyone I had ever known. She laughed at the smallest absurdities of space politics. She pondered questions I hadn't even realized existed. She was fearless, yet profoundly cautious, with an intuition that rivaled any artificial intelligence in the galaxy. And she was stubborn. God, she was stubborn, but in the way that made the stars themselves seem to yield to her will. We were sent on a mission almost immediately. Reports had come from the Outer Rim. An anomaly in the Virel Nebula was consuming entire mining colonies. Ships vanished without a trace. The Council feared a weapon of unimaginable power, or worse, a sentient intelligence with motives beyond comprehension. The journey to the Nebula was our first real test. The moment we entered the swirling clouds of gas and light, reality seemed to bend. Sensors went haywire. Space itself shimmered and rippled. I could hear Elara's mind adjusting, calculating, deciphering patterns I couldn't even see. "There's something alive here," she whispered, "and it's curious about us." We followed the anomaly deeper, our ship buffeted by invisible forces, until we found it, a massive crystalline structure, floating like a shard of a shattered star. It pulsed with colors that hurt the eyes, and yet beckoned us closer. "This is what's been taking the colonies," Elara said. Her voice was calm, but I felt the tension coiled inside her like a spring. "And it's not hostile, not yet." As we docked, or rather, merged into the crystal, the structure seemed to respond. My thoughts interlaced with Elara's, forming a network of understanding and intuition. The crystal wasn't just a machine, it was a consciousness. And it was lonely. Over the next weeks, or what felt like weeks in that strange, time-warped place, we communicated. Not in words, but in thoughts, in emotions, in pure essence. Elara and I shared the burden of understanding it. Together, we learned that it had been abandoned by its creators, left to drift in the void, seeking knowledge and companionship. It was here, amidst the pulsing alien intelligence, that I realized something profound. Choosing Elara had not been about the Council's tests, or appearances, or perfection. It had been about connection, the rare, impossible kind that defied logic, that transcended even the bounds of space and time. One night, I still remember it vividly, as if etched into my neural core, we sat in the observation deck of the crystal, watching the nebula swirl around us. "I don't want this to end," I said, my voice trembling, though she could hear it perfectly in her mind. "It doesn't have to," she replied. "As long as we choose each other, always." I smiled, and in that moment I understood. The Ascendant Selection was never about the Council's rules. It was about recognition, about seeing the right soul when it appears in a universe full of distractions. Our return to the Council was triumphant, but not without complications. Many questioned the wisdom of our choice. Others marveled at the bond we had formed with the Crystalline Intelligence. We were offered power, influence, and accolades. Yet, all of it seemed trivial compared to the silent promise we had made to each other in the void of the Virel Nebula. Elara and I remained partners, explorers, and companions. Together, we charted uncharted systems, brokered peace between warring colonies, and unraveled mysteries that had confounded the greatest minds of the galaxy. And through it all, the simplest truth remained. We had chosen each other. Years passed. We aged, not in the normal sense, but in experiences, in memories, in the weight of shared knowledge. The universe shifted around us. Empires rose and fell. Stars were born and died. And yet, in every moment, I felt her hand in mine, her thoughts intertwined with mine, her presence a constant echo of the day I made the only choice that truly mattered. Then came the day we returned to the nebula, now a familiar friend rather than a threat. The Crystalline Intelligence greeted us as always, pulsing with recognition. But this time, there was a new presence, tiny, almost imperceptible, but undeniably alive. A spark of creation, born from the loneliness of the crystal and the bond we had formed. Elara looked at me, eyes glowing faintly. "It's like us," she whispered. "A new beginning." I nodded, my heart swelling. We chose each other, and now we can help something else find its place in the universe. And in that moment, I realized the truth. Love, connection, and choice were more powerful than any technology, any empire, any council's decree. To choose someone wasn't just to claim them, it was to recognize them, to see them fully, and to commit to navigating the vast, unpredictable expanse of existence together. I turned to Elara. "Choose me again," I said, smiling. She laughed, that same intoxicating, impossible laugh, and whispered, "Always." And so we did. Over and over, across light years, across centuries of experience. In a universe teeming with possibility, I had chosen her, and nothing else. And nothing else had ever mattered. We returned to the Virel Nebula one last time, not as explorers, not as representatives of the Council, but as two souls bound by choice and destiny. The Crystalline Intelligence greeted us like an old friend, pulsing softly with recognition. But this time, something was different. A tiny spark of light flickered within the crystal, delicate and fragile, yet unmistakably alive. Elara's hand found mine, her violet eyes reflecting the nebula's glow. "It's like us," she whispered, awe in her voice. "A new beginning, born from connection." I smiled, feeling the weight of everything we had shared. The trials, the wonders, the infinite stretches of space. "We chose each other once," I said, squeezing her hand, "and we'll choose each other again always." She laughed, that laugh that could shift stars and calm storms. "Always," she echoed. As the nebula swirled around us, we understood something profound. The universe was vast, unpredictable, and often lonely, but love, choice, and connection were stronger than any force of gravity, any council decree, any cosmic anomaly. To truly choose someone was to commit to the unknown, to face every uncertainty together, and to make a small corner of the universe feel like home. I turned to her, and in that moment, every challenge, every danger, every lonely light year melted away. I had chosen her, and nothing else mattered. The stars stretched infinitely before us, but with her by my side, I felt ready to face them all. And so we drifted, together, hand in hand, into the endless night of space, knowing that no matter what the universe offered, we had already found the one choice that truly mattered.